Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Marvel Legendary unboxing for Annihilation. It's been quite a while since we've had a new release for this set. This is awesome. They finally came out. Things happen globally and stuff. Plus, this is also the return of the Fantastic Four, which is definitely cool because they were, the second expansion that came out, and then they haven't touched on the Fantastic Four since. So it's awesome that they're coming back to it. So we're gonna get our 5 heroes, two masterminds, some villain groups. So let's hop into this. So of course we're gonna have the Fantastic Four. 8 years ago, 2013. I mean, it depends on 8 years from this year. If you watch this in the future, it's probably longer. They definitely did something in this set, which we'll see when we get in there, that I really love. That they started doing, and that's making multiple characters into one hero. And I'll show you what I mean. So new characters we're gonna get the Fantastic Four. We're gonna get Franklin Richards, the son of Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, who also is known as Cylord. We're gonna get his sister, Valeria Richards, who goes by the name Brainstorm. She likes to do stuff with Dr. Doom, so that'd be interesting. Plus, we're also the other 2 characters we're gonna get. We're gonna to fight against some of the characters. We're gonna get the Heralds of Galactus, so that's Silver Surfer and some of his buddies, or at least work friends. And then we're also gonna get the Super Skrull, Kurt. So I love that we're getting villainous characters. I mean, he's been, especially after the Annihilation wave, and some of the more recent things, he's been more of an ally than a direct villain, but still, it's like he's a classic villain. And then we get a fight up against, of course, of Annihilation. We're fighting Annihilus and his Annihilation wave, but we're also going to get Kang the Conqueror and his timelines of Kang to fight. So that's definitely cool. So let's look at some of the abilities. I don't think we have anything new. We're just going to re-go over some of the ones we've already had. So we have Focus, which comes back from the original Fantastic Four. So if it says Focus, 2-star, draw a card. So whenever you play a Focus ability, you pay the cost on the left side of the arrow to use the effect on the right side of the arrow. You can use the Focus as many times as you want. So if it says Focus 2, you can spend 2 recruit stars to draw a card. Use as many times as you can. What's also fun about the Focus ability is you don't have to use it when you play the immediately when you play the card. So you could play your first card, get Focus 2, so you draw a card, play the rest of your hand, see what does this, that, this, and like maybe buy a card, put it on top of your deck, like that's Web Swing or something, or Wall Crawl or something like that. Then you could pay 2 later on to focus it, or you play something that you defeat a hand ninja and it gets you an extra point. Now you have 2, you can play it then. So that's definitely cool. You can play it whenever before the end of your turn, as long as it's out. And some of them they might have other things that have using attack instead of recruit. It also says note you can still use healing and still use even though you've used the focus, because you're not actually attacking or recruiting anything. So that's kind of cool. Then we're also bringing back the Man and Woman Out of Time from the Captain America set a couple years ago. So this is representing how Cylord, Brainstorm, and Kang are returning from the future. So this is kind of neat, because Captain America set, the Man and Woman Out of Time, had to deal with them being characters from the past, from the 40s, like coming into the present. This one has to do with characters from now going into the future and messing with stuff or bringing it back. So it says, after you use this card's ability, set it aside. At the beginning of your turn, play this card a second time, then discard it. So it's sort of like a teleport. Play it, set it aside, you get to use it again right away on the beginning of your next turn. It doesn't get added to your hand, and you're forced to use it. Unlike Teleport, which just puts it back in your hand, or some cards that let you put them back on the top of your deck. Yeah, so that's basically that. And then it's discarded right away, so you can't get it second and third time. You play your returning manual cards after you play a villain card. It's part of your turn. So you gotta play the villain then when you're playing your actual turn. I don't think there's anything else. Otherwise the exact copy of the rest of it. Okay, then we have Momentum. So the Annihilation Wave is a fast-moving invasion force. Pushing forward, they have the new Momentum. So this might actually be a new ability. Momentum 3. So the villain gains 3 attack if it entered another city space this turn. This works on the villain enters. Also on any turn they're pushed, or a special ability that moves it or swaps it to another space. Ooh, so that could be bad, because then they gain bonuses based on how many if they move another space. But it sounds like it's only if they move a space, not every space they move. Except for Annihilus himself has mass momentum. He gets +2 for each villain currently in the city is entering a new space. It doesn't include ones that escape. Yeah, it doesn't matter how many different, only matters if they entered at least one new one. So yeah, so you have to watch with your playing cards like Storm, who allow you to like move cards around, just so you don't accidentally move one and then now you can't beat them. Here it says, the board gets complicated with special abilities, moving villains around. Some players like to shift momentum villains up a bit to signal they have entered a new space, which makes sense. Kind of like put them up a little bit higher so you knew that that character has +3 for that turn, then you can move them down if you need to. And then now there's Conqueror, which we've had before. It came in the Marvel Studios Phase 1 and Heroes of Asgard. And it just represents some people getting stronger depending on where they are. So some villains say things like Bridge Conqueror 3. It means this villain gets +3 attack while any villain is in the bridge. And then this villain gets a bonus while itself is on the bridge or another village is in the bridge. Different villains and the King Mastermind have different Conqueror abilities. Different bonus base refer to different numbers. And I know from like the previous sets, I don't know if it's in this one, like they could conquer other spaces as well, like the victory pile or things like that. I don't know if any are in here, but some hero cards also have conquer abilities, which means you get +2 if there's a villain on there. So if they're conquering it, you gain the bonus. And then just some other little new stuff to go over is we have Galactus consumes. There are 2 Galactus cards in a set can destroy city spaces. You mark this by moving the Mastermind to cover it, or by putting wounds on the destroyed spaces. Whenever villains are pushed out of the space ends, they escape as normal. So basically, you just treat that as there's 4 spaces or 3 spaces. Pretty much like that. Your heroes versus heroes you have. In the core rulebook, it says these phrases include both cards in your hand and the hand you have played. Heroes in your deck and discard piles don't count. An additional clarification. Cards you played this turn that have moved to some other location still count as cards you have played, but they don't count as your heroes or heroes you have. You can't reveal such cards for abilities. Okay, that makes sense. So if it says you have to do something with your heroes, you can't do anything if you don't currently have them. Which, that makes sense. This is probably a clarification rule. Some teams create multiple villain decks. If a card tells you to do something with the villain deck, like reveal, play, or add, the effects choose from one of the villain decks for that effect. And use the same villain deck for all that card's effects. Don't do this effect to every villain deck. Okay, so if there's 3 decks, you pick one of them, then you do all the effects for that one deck. Okay, that makes sense. Then here we have joining the Marvel community. Legendary owes its long lifespan to players. Join us on social media, board gaming websites to find references. Rate the game. Alright. There's a bunch of guys that worked on this. Good job, everyone. Oop, make sure I get all of you in there. Alright, so let's hop in there. Enough of the rimble ramble. Let's start looking at our heroes. We're just going to start right off the bat with good old Fantastic Four. So, like I said before, I love this new thing they started doing where they combine heroes into one cards. Thor's Heroes of Asgard set did it with the Warriors 3, and now they're doing it with the Fantastic Four. So the hero's name is Fantastic Four United. This particular ability one for it is the Thing. So the Thing is going to have, this is one of the commons, so you have 5 copies of that. But this way, now they can have all 4 Fantastic Four characters on one set. So if you want to play the Fantastic Four, you don't have to have them take up your entire team. You can just slot them in here, and I really like that they're doing that. Like the Warriors 3, they do that in here. Actually, also with Heralds of Galactus. I hope they do that with more sets, because I would love to see groups of characters that couldn't normally make their own deck, or you wouldn't want to make a full team. Like, I don't want to necessarily see, like, X-Men, and then try and always put, like, 4 X-Men in there, because X-Men are diverse enough. But it might be cool for doing something, adding in villains, like the Hellfire Club. And you could have, like, White Queen, Shinobi Shaw, or Shinobi or Sebastian Shaw, like Harry Leland. Like, you could have them just as one group, because I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I want to try and play a full deck with maybe, well, I mean, personally, I wouldn't care. I'd love to have separate characters for everyone. But it just makes sense for some of them to, like, have them as a team. Then you get a couple different character, at least representations. Kind of like when they did with the dual cards, with, like, Cloak and Dagger. You get dual characters that you might not normally have separate. Or even what they did with just the sidekick ones, where it was, like, Captain America and Battlestar. Or, like, Patriot and Kate Bishop, Hawkeye. Just to introduce some of them characters. The more different people, the better. Anywho, let's jump in. So, of course, Fantastic Four will have the Fantastic Four team ability, which is great to have back, so we can mix and match these guys. We have a Strength card. If you play Fantastic Four, gain 1 recruit. Focus of 3, you can gain 2 extra attack. So he gains 2, and then if you play another Fantastic Four before him, he'll have 3 focus, you can give him 2 attack right away. So potentially 3 buying power, which you could then either pay for something or spend it to get something else, or get some attack. On Yancey Street or in deep space, it's always time to clobber. We have our Human Torch, and we get 5 copies of him because he's our other common. He's going to have range, also Fantastic Four. He has 2 recruit, focus 2, and I like that, you can use it right away. Take up to 2 wounds from your hand or discard pile. And he has 0 attack, but you can gain focus 6. You gain 6 attack and gain a wound. I just want to see something here. Did I miss this? Did they do this again? Yes. So this is also another thing they did, and I love this. Ben Grimm costs, the Thing costs 4 to buy. Human Torch costs 4 to buy. And their third one is you have 3 copies of. Be the Invisible One, also costs 4 to buy. And I love that they didn't make any cheap versions. They kept them as the 4, and it also works great with her ability, which is, I remember from the first original Invisible Woman, hers did the same thing. So she's our covert character. She gets 2 recruit. If you play any other cards that cost 4 this turn, you get 2 recruit. And since all the other Fantastic Four cost 4 so far, you can gain a bunch of recruit. Focus 4, rescue a bystander, then you may KO a card from your hand or discard pile. I like how these guys, they have the ability to attack, but all the Fantastic Four, our ultimate here is Mr. Fantastic, costs 7. It would have been kind of funny if he cost 8 though. But I like, yeah, they all have recruit abilities with the option of maybe attacking, which is very Fantastic Four-y. They're scientists or explorers first, fighters second. Even the Thing, like, even though he's a brute, it's not the go-to with the idea of the team. So he's our tech character. We get 1 for each color. So 2 recruit, Draw 2 cards, focus 5. You get 7 attack usable only against the Mastermind. So 7 cost for a 2-star character is really terrible, but you can immediately draw 2 cards, which could be very good, very bad. It's up in the air, because you could draw 2 Fantastic Four members, which could synergize off of each other, and you could get some really good effects. You might even get to use the focus ability multiple times, or you could draw, 2 shield troopers, who knows. But that's also great about, that's the only reason why the 7 is, I don't mind it, is because I focus 5. So if you generate 5, that's 7 attack. You can get it a second time, that's 14 attack. That's enough to take out, I'd say, like half of the Masterminds in one shot. If you can somehow get like 15 in a turn, which is very possible, you could take out just about anybody shy of probably like Thanos and Galactus, because that would be 21, which is probably why they made it 7. And it wouldn't actually be too hard with these guys to get it, because like if you had her, you get 2, and every other 4 cost you played, you get an additional 2. So if you played him, you get 2, get to draw 2 cards, so you could get definitely 2 more things, plus hers, there's 4. And if you played some other of the Fantastic Four, you could easily get 2 more. Even if you played one of each. 5, 6, 7, 8. Right there, you played another Fantastic Four. There's 9. Plus if you play 2 of those, you get 10, 11. So we're already up to 11 just by playing one of each of the cards. Plus you'd have another, card in your hand. Because you have 6 cards, you have 2 more cards. So there you might get 2 something else, plus you draw 2 more, so it would not be hard, especially if you're buying a lot of Fantastic Four members, United, to get up there really quickly, or if you're mixing them with the other Fantastic Four. Play the original 4, and then instead of Silver Surfer from that set, throw in this one, and make an all Fantastic Four deck. It'd probably do some damage. So up next, we have Cylord, Franklin Richards. See if I can get my camera to focus a bit there. Sorry, it's a little bit blurry. And bring it closer. Yeah, I can do that. See if I can bring it closer and not have it zoom as much. There we go. That's better. Alright, so he's going to get his 5 copies of a common, which are Covert. Interdimensional Rescue. 2 attack. He also costs 4, which is a good thing you noticed. It has focus 1. Reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a bystander, you get plus 2 attack. Rescue it. So it's not going to be super common, but because I can shuffle the top card of the bystander deck into the villain deck. So that works. He puts him in there. And then you have manual at a time. You're going to shuffle him in there. So yeah, basically he's going to put someone in harm's way so he can come back and rescue him later. That's kind of interesting. His next common card, which you have 5 copies of, is Avert Future Tragedy. And again, these guys are all our Fantastic Four members, of course. So this is an instant card, so 2 recruit, 3 cost. Focus 2. Reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a Master Strike, you get plus 3 attack. KO it and replace it with the top card from the bystander stack. And you play a Colt or an instant because man out of time. So that's cool too. So is one card lets you get bystanders and rescue them. And this one lets him KO Master Strikes, which is definitely helpful. Plus he puts more bystanders in for the other one. Plus the 2 focus from this, or 2 recruit from this who work the focus for that one. His 3 cost is Cylord from the future. So slip into the time stream. 3 recruit. Focus 1. Reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a villain, you get plus 1 and you may fight it. If you play both of the other cards, it gets mana at a time. That's kind of interesting because you could drop a couple of these and you could see what you're getting. But you can also play this, focus 1, reveal the top card. If it's a villain, okay, you know it's a villain, so you know if you want to play the other cards yet or not. And then his final one, his ultimate, is Reshape Reality. He's got some massive psi armor, instinct, 3 recruit, 3 attack, focus 3, reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a Steam Quest, gain 4 attack and shuffle it, and shuffle the villain deck. He has 2 Fantastic Force, he gets mana at a time. So for a 7 cost to gain 3 attack, 3 recruit is definitely really good. I'd say that's stable. Plus with the 3 recruit, you can immediately use the other ability. And if you played any of his other cards before that, you already know what the top card of the deck is. Or you could have revealed it and had to have shuffled the deck so you don't know what it is. Which is kind of cool too, because then you might have a better, like, oh, that was that, shuffle it, get something different. So I would count that most of the time being 3/3, but if you happen to draw that Steam Twist, at least you don't have to deal with it for a while, potentially, and you have 7 attack, which is definitely great. And the mana at a time ability wouldn't hurt, especially on an ultimate card, because that's one downside I've always found with the ultimate cards, is you play them like, you buy them, I've only get to play them maybe once, maybe twice, depending on the game. Alright, up next, our next hero is another Fantastic Four character, team member with some tech. We have Brainstorm, which is Valeria Richards. So Time Loop Experiment. Draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top of your deck. If you play another tech, she has Woman Out of Time, so you get to use this again. It's a cheap one, it only costs 2, I definitely like that. I see she has a V for Valeria. Franklin had an F for Franklin. I thought it was F for Fantastic. That's cool. Yeah, draw a card and put a card from your hand on top of your deck. So that's kind of nice, because then if you don't know what it is, you're obviously like, I don't have anything really good this turn, you can stick it back on your deck and then save it for the next turn. And then right away you're actually going to get to do that same thing a second time. That's a really cool effect. I like that. 5 of this one, the common, Borrow from the Future. She's got Arranged. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it costs 2 or more, draw it. Otherwise, discard it or put it back. So only gets 1 attack, but that works really well with her other one. Because you already know what card you put on there because you just played it. Plus you have the woman at a time potentially from the other card, so you could actually do it a second time. But you draw it again, you can really stack your deck really well that way. 3 copies of her uncommon, which is Reprogrammed Doombot Legion, another tech card. So she has, if you play a Fantastic Four character, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck. If you do KO 1, put the other one back. So she likes to manipulate her deck, which is really cool. 6 cost, 3 attack. And then her ultimate is another tech, so she's got 3 techs. The Protege of Dr Doom. 8 cost, 4 attack. You can use one of Doom's mastermind tactics. You can't use any of them more than once per game. If you have already used all of them, get +4 instead. Take another turn. So it's just listing what they all do in case you don't have them with you. So it says take another turn, or draw 3 cards at the end of your 3 extra cards at the end of your turn, or you may recruit a tech or ranged hero for free, or all other players draw a card or discard a card. So 8 cost for 4 attack. It's not super great, but not necessarily terrible. And then if you've already used all the things, it's 8 for 8, which is phenomenal. But then the other abilities, so to take an extra free turn, or draw an extra 3 cards, make your next turn really good, recruit a free hero, hit or miss because it depends on what's available. You might only have like a really cheap character available, or all other players draw a card or discard a card. And that one's a little, it's probably the one I think people would use less, but it's also, like I said, if you drawing 3 cards, you're playing a 4-player game, you're letting everybody else draw cards. It gives everyone else 1 bonus card per turn, which would definitely be helpful. I don't know why any of them would want to discard a card, unless there's any cards that start putting bad cards in your hand. The only bad card would be Wound, or something that might work if they need something in their discard pile. But that's definitely a cool ability. They should just use some Mastermind's abilities. So I like that. Alright, so that's our 3rd character. Now we're going to jump into our first set of non-Fantastic Four characters. So this actually makes this interesting because this is our 2nd Fantastic Four set. And we don't even have 8 Fantastic Four members yet. We have 4 from the original and 3 from here. So we're at 4, 5. We're only at 7. So here our first Herald of Galactus team is going to be the Silver Surfer, who has no team ability, much like the original one. He's going to be a ranged character. To recruit with Focus 2, draw a card. You may then move a villain to an adjacent city space. If another villain is already there, swap them. So you just to move some guys around, draw a card. Probably work well with that Conqueror ability. Get guys off of certain spaces, things like that. I like you can just move them. You don't have to swap them. Plus, he's going to work well with Susan Storm because he only costs 4. Our next Herald of Galactus is another ranged character. So we have 5 copies of this. Fire Lord. And this is what I mean. Like, I don't know how many people would be like, if you had released a set, it was like Silver Surfer, Fire Lord, and then like the next character is Airwalker. How many people would be really thrilled to have a full character of Fire Lord or Airwalker? They probably wouldn't. Like, but they're gonna enjoy getting to maybe dabble in them this way. And I'm sure there's some hardcore people that would love to have characters for each one of them. But I think the majority of the people, this works because you get some of the more obscure characters out. So he has 2 attack instead of 2 recruit. A little bit opposite of Silver Surfer. This turn, your heroes' Conqueror abilities also give you attack if those city spaces have been destroyed. So it's kind of neat. He works with Galactus. And like I said, the instructions are there's 2 Galactuses in this deck. Plus, if you're fighting Galactus as a Mastermind, that's another way to get it. So there's actually at least 3 different ones. Plus, I know there's for sure at least 1 scheme in the game, if not more than 1, that will destroy spaces as well. So you can kind of tailor your deck to those. And then he has Bridge Conqueror 2. So once someone's on the bridge and he's played a ranged card, he gets an extra 2. Our 3 cost, our uncommon, is Stardust. Oh, I said Airwalker. I'm sorry, it's Stardust. The covert character, 4 cost, 4 focus, or 4 recruit, 4 focus. I like these cards with the focus abilities they can use right away. Gives them Rooftop Conqueror 4. Which is actually good. Gives 4 attack if you spend that. So either 4 recruit or 4 attack if somebody's in the rooftop. Or Focus 11. Search the hero deck, HQ, or your deck or discard pile for Galactus Hungers and put it on top of your deck. Shuffle any deck you searched. So that's kind of neat. Comes out, you can immediately just summon Galactus, which is your ultimate card for this set. Costs 11 to focus it, so I'm curious. Just because, so he produces 4, 5, 6. Alright, I was hoping maybe it'd be kind of neat, like if you drew each one. Like if you played 1 of each one, if that would be enough to summon them, but it's not. They only give you 6. And if you played 2 of each, that would be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it'd be more. Alright, and then finally we have Galactus Hungers, who's a 10 cost, which is one of the highest ultimates I've seen, but it does 8 damage, which is phenomenal. That'll take out some of the lesser Masterminds by himself, probably. or very close, what are the chances you're only going to play one attack card? Plus, it says if you have played another Herald of Galactus this turn, destroy the leftmost city space, defeat any villain there, and then you get +2 attack for each destroyed city space. If this destroys the last city space, Galactus consumes the Earth, you win, evil wins, and all other players lose. So that's kind of fun, because it's kind of like the Dark Phoenix, where you can do this massive potential attack or big damage and stuff, but you're also risking losing the game. Plus, every time you destroy one of the city spaces, the heroes have less and less they need to get out of there. But yeah, definitely, like, the first time you play it, boom, you drop it, you play it, you do 10 damage, you've probably taken out the Mastermind, and you can leave them in your deck again. Or, because Stardust ability, search your deck, discard pile, and put it on top of your deck. You know you're going to have them the next turn. So you can kind of plan for that. So that's definitely an interesting card. I like it. Alright, then our final hero is the Super Skrull. So no one expects Cylord. No one told Cylord, and I might be pronouncing that wrong, the sewers were not exactly high priority objective for intergalactic conquest. So he's got rock solids. This is copying the Thing's ability. So he's a strength character. So he's our second strength card. So far it's just him and the Thing. So there's not a lot of strength in this deck. A lot of range. A little bit of decent amount of attack and covert. Not a lot of strength. So I like that he also costs 4. So each set has at least one character that costs 4. So it works really well with that ability. But he has no team. He doesn't belong to anything. No recruit, 2 attack, but he gets Sewer Conqueror 1 if you play another strength, or focus 3 attack to gain 2 recruit. So he works kind of the opposite. But he can't do it himself. He needs another card played to help him out. And to that, we will have his second common, 5 copies of a Stretching Credibility, which has 3 recruit, 2 attack. Kirk can mimic Mr. Fantastic's elasticity, but never his genius intelligence. So focus 2, so he can do this one by himself. When you draw a new hand, cards at the end of your turn, draw an extra card. I actually love this card right there. Just because that's really cool, because if, like, you're playing early on and you get this, it's a cheap card to buy too. But 2 damage isn't much extra to have. It's really helpful. Help you take out some of them early villains. But if you're like, oh, I don't have enough, they cost 5 or they cost 6 or 8 and I can't take anybody out, at least you can spend 2 of it to gain an extra card. Plus, since it's focus, you can do it multiple times. I always homebrew my games, and I always include an extra. I give everyone 1 extra hero card to start the game off. Usually it's like a 2-cost card, like a Spider-Man, or I've used Jubilee because I really like her ability from the X-Men set. In Spider-Man because he has some draw abilities. Just because they're cheap, but it also gives everyone like 1 extra bonus card to start with. So one of their first 2 hands, they're going to get a bonus card that does something. So it kind of works like the Legendary Encounter set, because all the avatars come with a special card. But this way, everyone has the same cards. It's still equal footing. This might be an exception, as I might try this one instead. It might be too overpowered early on, because if you draw a hand of like 4 attack, or even 2 attack, and you play this one, you could draw 2 extra cards right away. Might be a little abusive, but it would be fun to try. Alright, his uncommon is going to be his copying of Invisible Woman. Transparent Motives. It's hard to resist robbing a bank when you're invincible, and can smash steel vaults to pieces. So he's got Bank Conqueror 1. 2 attack, but he gets Focus 3. You may KO a card from your hand or discard pile. Definitely a good ability too. That's a covert. And then he's going to get a ranged attack. His ultimate is Put to the Torch. 7 cost, 4 attack. Bridge Conqueror, Straight Conqueror. You may gain a wound. If you do, you get Rooftop Conqueror 4. So if all 3 of them spots are full, so like again, 7 for 4, pretty decent. It's not great, but it's alright. But Bridge and Street, which I think are the first, I'm trying to remember my playmat here, because it's Sewers, and I think it's Bank, Rooftop, Bridge, and Street are the last 2. So if the last 2 are full, he'll have 6, but if that Rooftop is full, which I believe is the middle one, he has 8 right there, plus 9, 10 if the thing is full. So I mean, if the city's full, he has 10 spots already. Which again, kills lots of easy guys really quickly. So definitely could be a very good card, depending on what's there. Alright, so those are our heroes. Definitely cool. Let's check out some villains. So our first mastermind up is Annihilation, which goes good with the Annihilation theme. It says Mass Momentum 2, which says he gains 2 attack per every villain that is moved this turn. He's got, always leads Annihilation Wave, 1 player, only use 6 henchmen. Yeah, so the Annihilation Wave are, yeah, just from his things that we got. Yeah, so if you're using that, just use less henchmen instead of 10. That's interesting. We might see why when we get those cards. Master Strike. Reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a bystander, Annihilus captures it. If it's a villain, it enters the city, captures a bystander, and moves forward an extra space before doing its ambush ability. Ooh, interesting. And then we have his epic form, which jumps his mass momentum to 4. Annihilation Wave. Plus, you add an extra villain group, even for 1 player. Oh, that's even meaner. So now you don't even get a reduction. Next is play a card from the villain deck. If it's a villain, play a second card from the villain deck. And he has 12. So yeah, he's coming at you with everything. His tactics are deploy the planet killer, fight if this is not the final tactic, and if Weaponized Galactus is in the city, if this is not the final tactic, if Weapon Galactus is in the city, he escapes. If Weapon Galactus wasn't in the city and wasn't any victory pile, he enters the city from the villain deck and you shuffle the villain deck. Ooh, so he drops Galactus on you. Or he Galactus escapes, which is probably bad too. Surging Annihilation. Check all Annihilation Wave villains from each other player's victory pile. The one with the most VP enters the city. That player rescues bystanders equal to that villain's VP. So he likes to bring guys out. He's not going to give you any nice things. He's got a really negative attitude. Pull into the negative zone. The cost of each hero currently in the HQ gets -2 this turn. There we go. Something a little bit nicer. And the Cosmic Control Rod. Each other player reveals the top 3 cards of their deck. KOs the highest cost hero they reveal this way, then put the rest back in any order. Ugh, that would suck. I don't like those. Alright, that's our Annihilus. Let's look at his Annihilation Wave villains. So we've got 2 copies of the Annihilation Armada with Momentum 2, so they gain 2 every time they move. Ambush. A henchman villain from your victory pile enters the city. Oh boy, so then they definitely get, you play them, they definitely get a move. So they're 5, at least 5 on the first turn. Then we have 3 copies of the Queens of Annihilation with Momentum 3. Ambush. Reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a villain, play it. Fight, KO one of your heroes. Erratica, Extermina, and Excerpia each lead a third of the Annihilation Wave as its royal consorts of Annihilus. Wow. Yeah, these guys really like to get guys out there and push them. I definitely wouldn't play these guys with Squadron Supreme because they have lots of push abilities. 2 copies of Ravenous with Momentum 3. Ravenous swaps places with an Annihilation Wave villain that isn't Weaponized Galactus. So he comes in, he gets to move, which gains him a bonus, and that guy a bonus. Escape, each player reveals a strength hero or gains a wound. So if you're playing with the Super Skrull, who fought against the Annihilation Wave, or if you're playing with the Fantastic Four, you could possibly avoid this, but if you're focusing on the other characters, they don't have any strength characters. And then finally we have, which has been mentioned several times, Weaponized Galactus. With a momentum of 9. So he starts with 9. If he moves, he becomes 18 for a turn. Ambush. Weaponized Galactus swaps place with the leftmost villain in the city. Oh, that is terrible, because that means he becomes 18 and he's 1 turn away from escaping. If he escapes, destroy the leftmost city space. If this destroys the last city space, evil wins. Otherwise, each player gains a wound, and you shuffle Weaponized Galactus back into the villain deck. Any villain from the destroyed city space escapes. Oh, that's almost worse than just a Nihilist. That's crazy. I'm definitely not looking forward to having to fight that. Alright, our other villain is we have King the Conqueror, who's now becoming popular in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with 8 attack. King has Conqueror 2 for each city space under the Time Incursion. He benefits from villains there. Villains under a Time Incursion get 2 attack. Always leads timelines of King, Master Strike. This strike becomes a Time Incursion. Put it above the rightmost city space that doesn't yet have a Time Incursion. So as soon as you play it, the first spot's going to gain 1, which means he's going to gain 2 anytime there's a villain there. And since it's the first spot, there's always going to be a villain there. And that villain gets plus 2 attack. I don't even want to see what his epic side does. Conqueror 3. For each space on another timeline, the villain gets plus 3. This strike becomes a timeline incursion put above the rightmost city space that doesn't yet have a time zone incursion. If there are any villains in any time incursion, each player gains a wound. Oh boy. Plus he went from 8 to 10. Epic villains are hard. I haven't fought one yet. I just haven't played against them because I'm like, I don't know if I can beat them. I have enough trouble with the regular ones. Savior from another timeline. You may gain a hero from any HQ space under a timeline incursion. Send it as a man or woman out of time. Well, that's definitely could be cool. You gain any bunch of different cards, potential card, or you just send it to use it right away in the next turn. Pull from the future. Reveal the top 2 cards of the villain deck. Choose a villain revealed this way to empty an empty city space under a time incursion. Put the rest back in any order. One of them ones where if it hits right, maybe it hits before there's a time incursion, or there's no villain and it kind of fizzles out. Iron Lad grows up to become king. If this is not the final tactic, each player reveals from their hand. You choose a card named Iron Lad. You choose a card named Iron Lad from the escape pile, or from man out of time, or from that player's hand or discard pile that you played this turn, or that played this turn. Shuffle Iron Lad into King Tactics is a mastermind tactic. It says fight, gain this as a hero. Interesting. It says any card named Iron Lad. Okay, because it's one of his cards is Iron Lad that you can get. He pulls it from wherever, and you gain them. But it's also interesting because there's Iron Lads on the Vision card in Civil War, I believe. So it's also another way to play that, like when they do that. And then we have Leap into the Time Stream. If this is not the final tactic, take another turn after this one. Don't play a card from the villain deck at the start of that turn. It's actually King seems a lot easier than I would have thought he would be. I mean, his his mastermind abilities and stuff really suck, but his tactics cards aren't too bad. Alright, so we're going to get villains from the Timelines of Cain. We have 2 copies of Iron Lad, who is actually can become a fight him. You gain target player of your choice gains this as a hero, so that's cool. You can pass it to whoever. He becomes a hero with you play him as a tech. He's got manual time, and he gets you 2 attack. Otherwise, he costs 4 to beat. So this is when the Avengers disassembled. Cain came back, took over the Vision's body, and became Iron Lad, and used that, fused it together, and became Iron Lad. I'm sorry, he didn't take over the Vision, but he became Iron Lad because he was trying to hide his identity. But that's when he formed the Young Avengers, which is Patriot, Hulkling, Wiccan, the Vision, eventually Speed, and Hawkeye. Kate Bishop joined. And then eventually it went, but then before the second group joined, which was like Miss Marvel and Loki and Norvar and stuff, Iron Lad got sent back in time to become Cain. But yeah, it was definitely cool. I like when the villains have ones you can recruit and it's not full of them, so it's just one, so it's kind of neat. We got 2 copies of his Scarlet Centurion version. Bank Conqueror 2. Ambush, reveal your hand, and send a highest cost hero as a man or woman at a time. So it's kind of neat, because it's sort of it's a penalty, because you don't get to use it, but at least it's not discarded. You're going to get it again the next turn. So it just delays you a bit. Well, it could ruin a strategy you had planned. Fight. If you play a covert hero this turn, KO one of your heroes. So if you don't mind KOing something, you can play that, or you can avoid it by not doing it. Then we have 2 copies of Pharaoh Ramatut, Bridge Conqueror 3, Ambush. If the bridge is empty, move a villain to the bridge. Fight. Send an attack, or a strength, or instant hero you play as man out of turn. I don't like this one, because I know when I play this, I use all the cards from the set, so I'll be using the Annihilation wave cards, which have the momentum abilities. So he comes in, he's going to move someone to that bridge, he's going to gain a bonus, plus that guy's going to gain a bonus, potentially, and that's going to suck. And then we have 2 copies of Immortus. Street Conqueror 3, fight, reveal a ranged hero, or reveal the top card of the villain deck. If it's a villain worth 4 VP or less, defeat it, do its fight effect. Then put Immortus in its place. It goes back to the top of the deck. Interesting. Escape. Each player reveals a ranged hero or gains a wound. Shuffle Immortus back into the villain deck. Alright, so that's our villains. So, then the last cards we have left to go through are our brand new schemes. So we have Pulses from the Negative Zone. 9 twists. On twist 1, 3, 5, 7 is a negative pulse. This turn, heroes in the HQ cost 1 less to recruit, and villains and masterminds get -1 attack or hit points. And if it's twist 2, 4, 6, and 8, it's a positive pulse. Heroes cost 1 more, and villains gain 1 more attack. If you hit the 9th one, evil wins. That's a fairly simple one. I like that. I can throw it in any deck. It's fairly easy to figure out. Not gimmicky things. Then we have Sneak Attack on Heroes' Homes. 6 twists. Each player chooses a hero to be part of the hero deck. Randomly select other heroes up to the normal number of heroes. Each player adds to their starting deck 3 non-rare cards with different names from the hero they chose and 3 wounds. Twist 1 through 5. Each player discards a non-gray hero or gains a wound. And 6 one evil wins. So each player chooses a hero to be part of the hero deck. Then randomly select other heroes up to the normal number of heroes. Okay, so if I'm playing this and I'm using 5, one person would select Franklin, Richards, or Cylord, and the other one would select Brainstorm. Then you select Fantastic Four United, Heralds of Galactus, and Super Skrull as the other three. Each player adds to their starting deck 3 non-rare cards. So that's one of the ones you have 5 of each with different names from the hero they chose. Non-rare cards. So it would have to be the uncommon one too. So it'd be everything but the ultimate. So you have one of each of the cards of the rarities to your deck, and 3 wounds. So you're gonna start with 6 extra cards in your deck, which is interesting. But they're powerful and they get some. Okay, that's definitely interesting. But then it also lets each person already kind of start a focus on one character. So if there's someone that has abilities that really synergize with each other, they kind of just start with some of them. So that's kind of neat. Put humanity on trial. 11 twists, stack 11 bystanders next to the steam. Face down is Galactus jurors. Oh, this just sounds fun already. Special rule. Each twist gives you a challenge to achieve this turn. If you do it, you have convinced the juror and you rescue them. If you don't, put that juror face up next to the villain desk, voting to condemn humanity. This reminds me of, what was that storyline they did that with the X-Men and Xavier, and they had them all the different, galactic characters voting on whether to, like, seal in Earth, and they made it into a prison. I don't remember, it was, like, maximum sentence or something like that. Oh boy. It was an interesting bunch of comics. Alright, so then we have twists 1 and 2 are opening arguments. Discard 3 cards with different names. 3, 5, and 7 are questioning witnesses. Recruit a hero that costs 5 or more. 4, 6, and 8 are introduce evidence. Defeat villains worth 3 VP or more. Twists 9 and 11 are closing arguments. Defeat the mastermind. Evil wins when 6 jurors have condemned humanity. So over half. Yeah, it's also kind of like mixes in the, what are they called? The trap cards from, like, the X-Men set. And, like, the Hulk set. Like, where you get to play something, like, you have, like, 1 turn to completing an effect, or you take a punishment. Alright, that's definitely a neat little... I love the little, like, I love that you can add snares to this game are not just, like, play extra characters in your deck or do extra damage, but they're like it's kind of a little mini game you have to work around. So you can't just play as normal trying to, like, just defeat the mastermind. You actually have to focus on what that thing does so you can try and, like, maximize your potential to beat it. Our last one we have is Breach Parallel Dimensions. 6 twists, add 4 extra bystanders to the villain deck. Deal the shuffle villain deck into several dimension decks where the first dimension has 1 card, the next has 2, then 3, 4, etc. The final dimension might not have enough cards to reach its full number. Okay. Special, each turn you choose which dimension to play a card from. All players have Focus 1, reveal the top card of any dimension and put it back in the top or bottom of the deck. If a dimension deck ever has no cards left in it, even in the middle of a card ability, it is destroyed. Mark it with a face-up wound. Okay. So, twist. No cards left even in the middle of a card of it. So if something would draw it for some reason or whatever, you destroy that space. Twist. Choose a dimension and play 2 cards from it. It's okay if it only has 1. Evil wins when at least half of the original dimensions are destroyed. So if the dimension has no cards left, even in the middle of a card ability, is destroyed. So basically, you're gonna want to like not tackle the like cards with like 1 or 2 because you don't want to destroy them. But since you can reveal them, you might be like, oh crap, the deck 3 has 3 cards in it. All 3 are Steam Twists or Master Strikes. So yeah, you might need to. Plus the twists are going to come out, which are going to force you to start drawing from them. So that's definitely an interesting little gimmick too. Alright, this deck looks like fun. This game. This is Annihilation. I love they brought the Fantastic Four back. Some cool, interesting characters. Definitely, yeah. Can't wait to try this out. Mix it with some of the other Fantastic Four members. I have no idea what the next set after this is. Because originally, I think before this, it was supposed to be Externals. But that got pushed back, and I'm guessing because of the live-action movie coming out. So that'll probably be the next set, because they'll probably try and time it roughly with the release of the movie, so that way people are like, oh, there's the movie, there's the characters. But I have no idea who they're going to have for the Eternals, because there's, I think, in the movie, there's 10 of them. In the game, you can only have 5 characters, so unless they're going to go a bunch of dual cards, which would definitely be cool, like Cloak and Dagger, Storm, Black Panther, stuff like that, where you get a bunch of cards with 2 of each one kind of teaming up. And I think they also were supposed to have an Inhuman set and your Doctor Strange set. And I'm going to guess the Doctor Strange set is going to coincide with the movies. I think they're kind of trying to align some of their expansions to fit in when the movies are coming out. Alright, so that's what I got for Legendary Annihilation. Hope you guys liked it. Check you guys later. Bye.